How dangerous is hypothermia? More than you think. Hypothermia is a silent but deadly threat, often overlooked, and it can pose serious dangers even at temperatures as mild as 50 degrees Fahrenheit, about 13 degrees Celsius. This condition becomes critical if your clothes are wet and you can't warm up. Such mild temperatures can swiftly turn lethal under the wrong circumstances. This scenario is tragically common among day hikers who venture out unprepared for the unexpected. They might plan for a brief, simple hike, yet find themselves lost, injured, or delayed. When the weather shifts unexpectedly, without access to shelter and their clothes drenched, they face severe risks. Without the means to warm themselves, they eventually succumb to what medical professionals ominously call exposure. My scoutmaster was adamant that we would never face such dangers unprepared. He believed in the power of first-hand experience to teach us the crucial lessons of planning and preparedness, even if those lessons were hard-earned. One particularly memorable day, he instructed us to cross a stream. He knew our packs would remain dry if held overhead, but we would inevitably get soaked in the chilly waters. The temperature that day hovered around 55 degrees Fahrenheit, not typically considered cold, and at first the water felt refreshingly cool. However, as soon as we emerged on the other side, the harsh reality hit us. Despite the moderate air temperature, we quickly felt the piercing cold, exacerbated by the wind's chill. Within minutes, we were shivering uncontrollably. Our hands, once adept at starting fires, turned clumsy and nearly useless as the cold overpowered us. The shivering grew so intense it incapacitated us, making even basic tasks impossible. That day, we learned crucial survival skills. Our scoutmaster drilled into us the importance of keeping our clothes dry at all times. He demonstrated the critical need to have a fire set up and ready, enabling us to warm up swiftly when necessary. He stressed the urgency of changing back into dry clothes immediately after any water crossing, then quickly starting a fire to warm up and dry off before even considering our next steps. Above all, he taught us that establishing shelter should be our immediate follow-up to safeguard against the harsh elements. The lessons we learned that chilling day remain etched in our memories, even 3 decades later. The cold, the shivering, the sense of helplessness, all served as stark reminders that nature is formidable and demands respect. Preparation, planning, and reverence for the elements are not just advisable, they are crucial for survival. Indeed, hypothermia serves as a harsh reminder of what can go wrong. It's like nature's way of saying, remember that time you thought a quick hike was a good idea? Think again. Story 2. The Perils of Water Rescue. Rescuing someone from underwater is a perilous and often hazardous task. When submerged, a person is gripped by fear, driven by an overwhelming instinct to reach the surface and breathe. In their panic, they can become frantic and irrational, focusing solely on survival. This fear may cause them to inadvertently climb atop anything or anyone in their vicinity to stay afloat, complicating the rescue efforts. Therefore, it is critical to understand that water rescues should not be undertaken lightly. If you lack strong swimming skills or specific training in water rescues, you should never attempt to save someone by yourself. Your safety must always come first. Instead, promptly call for emergency services and try to assist from a safe distance. One effective strategy is to extend a reachable object to the person in distress, such as a pool noodle, a branch, or a pole. Alternatively, you can throw a buoyant object like a life jacket, a kickboard, or even a cooler lid to them to hold on to until professional help arrives. For those untrained in water rescues, remember, the best rescue is one where you don't have to enter the water. Safety guidelines stress a clear protocol: call, reach, extend, throw, row, and only as a last resort, swim. These steps are designed to minimize risk to the rescuer while maximizing the chances of a successful rescue. Always assess the conditions before attempting any rescue. If the water is murky, the current strong, or obstacles like logs and rocks present, reconsidering the rescue might be the wisest decision. It may sound harsh, but prioritizing your safety and leaving the rescue to trained professionals is crucial rather than risking your own life. Rescue teams prefer to focus on saving one person rather than dealing with multiple victims. If you carefully decide to enter the water, Always bring something that floats. This can be handed to the person in distress to prevent them from grabbing onto you, potentially endangering both of you. Rescuing someone from water can resemble trying to save a cat from a bathtub. There's plenty of splashing, a bit of fear, and a moment where you might wonder who's really in danger. Story 3. Respecting the unpredictable ocean. The ocean is a vast and dynamic entity, providing opportunities for swimming, surfing, and other recreational activities, but it also poses significant challenges, especially in boating. It's critical to understand that the ocean is not a mere swimming pool or tranquil lake. Stepping off the sand or dock, you enter a realm where usual human perception and reasoning falter. The ocean operates on its own terms, indifferent to our expectations and sometimes even our survival. I'm currently teaching a good friend how to sail, and while his enthusiasm is commendable, his naivety concerning the realities of sailing long distances in a small boat is apparent. Sailing demands respect for the sea's unpredictable nature. When I cautioned him that he hasn't been scared enough yet, it was a lesson drawn from extensive experience. My conservative approach to navigating the ocean stems from a well-founded fear of its potential dangers, developed over years. Anyone who claims they aren't a bit fearful of the ocean probably hasn't spent sufficient time witnessing its formidable power and unpredictability. As a seasoned captain, lifelong surfer, and recreational sailor, I can attest that the ocean is both awe-inspiring and perilous. It can shift in moments, transforming from a peaceful expanse to a fierce force capable of overwhelming even the most skilled sailors. It's crucial to be prepared for anything, as you may encounter situations beyond your imagination, even during a casual outing. If you're planning a boating trip, ensure that you're well equipped. At a minimum, carry a well-stocked first aid kit and have a working knowledge of how to call for help using a VHF radio. These basic safety measures can significantly influence whether your time on the water is enjoyable or a battle for survival. Learn from those familiar with the ocean's fickle nature, respect its power, and always prioritize safety to truly appreciate the beauty it offers. My friend's eagerness was endearing, yet naive, much like a puppy believing it could take on a great white shark. Story 4. The risks of ignoring medical advice. Avoiding the doctor when experiencing health issues is a mindset that urgently needs reevaluation. Opting not to seek medical help immediately doesn't signify toughness or masculinity. More often, it indicates poor judgment and a disregard for one's health. This message isn't aimed at those in America without insurance, as many have valid reasons for lacking access to healthcare. However, we're all familiar with people who stubbornly refuse medical attention. You've likely heard someone say, "I don't need a doctor, I'm fine." I knew someone who hadn't visited a doctor in 30 years, a fact he wore like a badge of honor. He boasted about his robust health and his disdain for medical examinations, convinced of his invincibility. However, reality delivered a brutal wake-up call. Within a month, he inexplicably began losing a significant amount of weight. Alarm bells should have sounded sooner, but it wasn't until this dramatic change that he sought medical advice. When he did, the diagnosis was catastrophic. He was riddled with illnesses, a walking miracle to have lasted as long as he had without collapsing sooner. The doctors gave him a grim prognosis, just 4 months to live. Shockingly, he chose to decline treatment, believing he could manage on his own. Tragically, his delay in addressing his health issues proved fatal. This underscores a critical lesson. Always consult a doctor when something feels off. Early detection is your best defense against many ailments and conditions. Delaying medical consultation can mean missing the opportunity to address issues effectively. Don't let pride or ignorance obstruct your health care. Taking charge of your well-being involves recognizing symptoms early and seeking professional advice. Your health is too valuable to risk. Make it a priority to schedule regular checkups, listen to your body, and seek medical advice when necessary. Don't repeat the mistakes of others who have gambled with their health and lost. Story 5. The risks of kitchen adventures. Frying food can be an exhilarating culinary experience, yet it comes with its own dangers that should not be underestimated. Recently, when a friend visited, my roommates and I decided to whip up a dinner. We made buffalo chicken and, catering to my vegetarian diet, buffalo cauliflower. The process was simple and enjoyable as we dropped the ingredients into large pots of boiling oil. the kitchen filled with sizzling sounds and enticing aromas, turning our cooking into a fun adventure. However, the mood shifted when our friend shared our culinary exploits with the head chef at the restaurant where she works. Instead of sharing our enthusiasm, he was alarmed. He scolded her for our negligence in frying without proper equipment like a thermometer and a deep fryer. He warned that such oversight could easily lead to a kitchen fire. When our friend conveyed these concerns to us, my roommates and I realized the gravity of the situation despite initially shrugging it off. Reflecting on that incident, we have since adopted more cautious practices in our culinary adventures to ensure our safety. Our culinary experiments have expanded to include dishes like fried ice cream, tostones, yuca fritas, and sweet potato fries, all prepared in the same makeshift setup. Thankfully, our house hasn't suffered any mishaps yet, but we recognize that our good fortune might not last forever. While we've relished the taste of our homemade fried treats, we've realized that our cooking methods are far from cautious. We are quite literally playing with fire, and although we haven't faced any disasters yet, the risk is ever present. Frying food without the appropriate equipment isn't merely inconvenient. It's a significant safety risk that demands serious attention. It only takes one mistake for a fun cooking session to escalate into a dangerous situation. Our kitchen escapades might as well be auditions for a reality show called Survivor Kitchen Edition. I'll admit I don't have the right tools for safe frying, and perhaps you don't either. Let me know in the comments if you do. Story 6. The creeping danger of forgetfulness. Forgetfulness may seem minor, a mere inconvenience when it comes to recalling trivial details. You might think you're managing just fine despite occasional memory lapses. It's easy to rely on others to remind you of the little things, and this dependency can lead to carelessness. Over time, the risk of forgetfulness escalating into a serious issue fades into the background, dismissed as an inconsequential thought. However, forgetfulness does not discriminate between the mundane and the crucial. Initially, losing trivial pieces of information may not seem alarming, allowing the problem to linger unnoticed and unchecked. The real peril emerges when you forget something, or someone, vital. Often, by the time you recognize the significance of what you've lost, it's already too late to rectify the situation. The consequences of forgetfulness can be profound, and once you realize the damage, the situation may feel overwhelming. Grappling with the aftermath, you might find yourself desperately trying to piece together lost memories. The real challenge comes when you start to distrust your own memory. Every forgotten detail acts as a reminder of how quickly something important can slip away, leaving you in a perpetual state of anxiety over what you might forget next. The simple act of remembering a name, a date, or an important conversation can become a daunting task, making you second-guess even the smallest details of your life. As memory issues take their toll, you may find yourself withdrawing from social situations to avoid the embarrassment or consequences of a lapse. This isolation can strain relationships, as friends and family may grow frustrated with your forgetfulness. Dealing with memory loss is a daily struggle, and every forgotten detail can seem like a flaw in the fabric of your identity. In a world of fleeting memories, it's crucial to find ways to enhance your recall and protect the moments that define you. Whether it's through mindfulness, establishing routines, or using memory aids, these strategies can help you regain control over your thoughts and experiences. Remember, in a life shaped by memories, losing even a small fragment can feel like losing a part of who you are. Story 7. Navigating the natural hazards of Australia. Australia is renowned for its stunning landscapes and unique wildlife, but it also hosts a myriad of dangers that can make your visit, or life here, particularly challenging. The risks in Australia are unique, prompting the government to emphasize safety from an early age. If you're venturing down under, it's crucial to be aware of these risks to avoid becoming a statistic. Australia is home to some of the world's most dangerous snakes. Brown snakes, known for their lethal venom, can appear almost anywhere during the summer: your backyard, a park, or on a trail. Conversely, the red-bellied black snake typically avoids human contact and will flee at the first sign of people. However, remember that not all snakes are as timid, and caution is always advised when encountering wildlife. When discussing Australia's aquatic life, jellyfish stand out as some of the most venomous creatures in the ocean. Unlike snakes, jellyfish lack brains, rendering them incapable of remorse for the chaos they cause. Among them, the box jellyfish, specifically the irukandji jellyfish, are notorious for their danger. These minuscule creatures have a bell only about 30 millimeters high, roughly 1.18 inches, which might seem harmless at a glance. However, their sting can inflict excruciating pain. On land, spiders are another hazard, especially for those of us with arachnophobia. Despite no recorded deaths since the 1970s, spiders like the funnel web and redback remain formidable. Their venom can ruin your day faster than you can shout for help. Interestingly, an episode of Peppa Pig was once banned in Australia because it depicted spiders as non-threatening, potentially misleading children about the real danger they pose. Speaking of spiders, the huntsman spider, though not venomous, is perhaps the most intimidating. Capable of growing as large as a human hand, huntsmen are known for their startling appearances. They can pop up from seemingly nowhere. Unlike web-spinning spiders, huntsmen actively hunt their prey, which can be quite alarming, particularly when they surprise you in places like your car. Imagine driving peacefully when suddenly a huntsman appears on your dashboard. If you're in the water, beware of strong ocean currents. These currents can pull you out to sea more swiftly than you can swim back. If caught in one, the best strategy is to swim parallel to the shore until you escape its pull. Understanding and respecting the water's power is crucial. Lastly, Australia records the highest rates of skin ailments globally, largely due to the ozone layer depletion directly overhead. This environmental factor necessitates extra vigilance regarding sun exposure and protection. The sun in Australia can be incredibly harsh, so locals follow a simple mantra: slip, slop, slap. That means slip on a shirt, slop on some sunscreen, and slap on a hat to protect yourself from the sun's damaging rays. The power of the sun should not be underestimated, as it contributes significantly to environmental hazards. Every few years, bushfires ravage at least half of Australia's east coast. Our fire departments tirelessly emphasize the importance of fireproofing homes because with bushfires, you can truly never be too prepared. Interestingly, Australia shares some commonalities with California, particularly in terms of frequent, intense fires. This similarity partly stems from the eucalyptus trees introduced to America during the 1860s gold rush. These trees are notorious for their flammability, fueled by the eucalyptus oil they produce, which intensifies fires. Moreover, they regenerate quickly after fires, continuing the cycle of destruction. The Australian environment poses significant threats, not just from its venomous creatures, but also through natural disasters like bushfires. Therefore, whenever you consider exploring nature or swimming in the ocean, remember the beauty of these places is matched by their potential dangers. Stay vigilant, stay safe, and maintain a deep respect for the natural world. If you encounter a giant spider while driving, it's natural to panic, but staying calm is crucial. Now, shifting our focus to another danger. Story 8. The risks of navigating near dams. Navigating near dams is not only risky, it can be deadly. Whether you're in a boat, tubing, or body surfing, the dangers of going over a dam are profound. Even small dams, just 3 feet high, can create life-threatening situations. In the United States, many dams are constructed directly across rivers, which creates dangerous water dynamics. When water flows over these dams, it cascades down and is forced to the bottom of the riverbed, creating a boil. This boil occurs because the water plummets and then surges back up, creating a strong recirculative current that pulls everything back toward the dam. If you go over a dam, the initial drop might pull you underwater, only for you to resurface briefly before being dragged back toward the dam by the powerful currents. Such conditions can lead to tragic outcomes if not navigated with extreme caution. The power of water near dams is formidable, and the dangers persist even if you're in a sealed kayak or wearing a personal flotation device, PFD. The water's force is often underestimated, and the potential for danger is significant. In such scenarios, your best survival tactic is to curl into a ball and attempt to stay as low in the water as possible. By reducing your profile, there's a possibility you might float beneath the surface currents and escape the treacherous cycle. It's crucial to be aware that water rushing back upstream from downstream areas near dams can catch you in the same perilous cycle of recirculating water that flows over the dam. This can trap you repeatedly in dangerous conditions, making escape challenging. Story 9. The risks of a misdiagnosed penicillin allergy. Carrying a false penicillin allergy on your medical profile can have severe implications for your healthcare. If you are unsure about a penicillin allergy, it's essential to seek clarification from your health provider. Although about 10% of the population report being allergic to penicillin, research shows that less than 1% actually have a true allergy. This discrepancy can greatly limit your treatment options. Declaring a penicillin allergy restricts access to a crucial class of antibiotics known for their effectiveness in treating infections. Consequently, healthcare providers may have to opt for alternative antibiotics, which might not be as effective against specific infections. These alternatives often have a broader spectrum, meaning they target a wider range of bacteria. While this might initially seem advantageous, it can lead to several adverse effects. The use of potent, broad-spectrum antibiotics can increase the likelihood of antibiotic-induced diarrhea and raise the risk of Clostridium difficile infections, which are potentially life-threatening. Moreover, relying on these strong antibiotics can contribute to the global issue of antibiotic resistance. This occurs when bacteria evolve to resist the effects of medications that were once effective, posing not only individual health risks, but also a significant public health threat. The use of inappropriate antibiotics can lead to higher overall mortality rates due to ineffective infection control. If you're uncertain about your allergy status, it's crucial to consult with your healthcare provider. They can provide valuable information and resources to help clarify whether you have a true penicillin allergy. You might also research common allergy symptoms like rashes or throat swelling to better understand what to look out for. Additionally, specific tests can accurately determine if you have a true penicillin allergy. Your health is paramount, and ensuring you receive the most effective treatment is crucial. Don't hesitate to seek answers about your medical history, as doing so can lead to better health outcomes and a more effective treatment plan. If you're finding this video informative, please don't forget to hit the subscribe and like button for more content like this. Story 10. The long-term consequences of an accident. I fell, and now my ankle is bolted together. A constant reminder of a day that altered my life forever. I was incapacitated and couldn't walk for an entire year, plunging into six-figure medical debt because I underestimated the need for insurance. The pain is relentless. It haunts me every day. I can no longer work a traditional blue-collar job, so I've switched to operating heavy equipment to stay off my feet. This adjustment comes with its own challenges. I can't take pain medication, and even casual use of cannabis to relax is not an option for me. At 25, I became disabled and developed a noticeable limp. Now, a decade later, I'm finally catching up on my credit and payments after the financial devastation caused by the accident. Late fees and penalties accumulated rapidly when I was unable to work and pay bills for a year. We used to joke about the safety harnesses at work, dismissing their importance with a laugh. But I've learned the hard way that these safety measures are no laughing matter. They could have saved much more than just my job. They could have preserved my well-being. Back then, I thought I was invincible. I wasn't overweight. I just landed wrong. That moment taught me a brutal lesson. We get only one life and one body. While I'm not severely crippled and can manage a couple of hours on my feet if I push myself, the sight of anyone working at heights without proper protection now fills me with a mix of anger and sorrow. I want to urge everyone, don't be reckless. Protect yourself. A single moment of carelessness can alter your life irreversibly. Ensure you're always safeguarded against potential accidents. Don't let your story turn out like mine, filled with regret and lifelong challenges. Story 11. The hidden dangers of freediving. Holding your breath underwater, especially after hyperventilating, is incredibly risky. In a freediving course, I learned that humans don't have a direct mechanism to sense low oxygen levels. Instead, the urge to breathe is triggered by rising carbon dioxide levels in the body. Hyperventilating before a dive lowers these CO2 levels, misleadingly easing the urge to breathe, which dangerously increases the risk of blacking out underwater without any prior warning. If you're alone and black out, the consequences can be fatal. In freediving courses, you're taught to control your breathing, typically inhaling for 3 seconds and exhaling for 6 seconds. This method not only helps manage pain from the urge to breathe, but also trains you to recognize your physical limits. Additionally, you might experience diaphragm convulsions, another critical sign to heed. It's worth noting that even seasoned freedivers have encountered accidents while practicing solo in pools. Always practice breath holding with a buddy, or if alone, do so on dry land like in bed, where if you pass out, your body will naturally resume breathing. For the record, my personal best in breath holding was 4 minutes and 35 seconds, achieved under supervised conditions. Story 12. The power of falling water, seemingly harmless, can manifest immense force unexpectedly, especially when falling. Many imagine the romantic notion of standing under a waterfall, akin to scenes from a shampoo commercial, feeling the gentle cascade of water. Yet, the reality is starkly different. The force of water falling from even a modest height can be overwhelming. The impact of such a torrent is not just powerful but potentially hazardous. The energy released by falling water should never be underestimated. It commands a high level of respect. Additionally, consider the dangers of electricity in water settings. Electricity is particularly deceptive because its potency can escalate without any visible signs, making it a silent but deadly force in water-rich environments. A small cup of water spilling on you is hardly a concern, just a minor inconvenience. But picture a massive water tower, filled to the brim and teetering precariously overhead. The danger in that scenario is immediate and unmistakable. Unlike water, electricity doesn't offer visual cues to signal its presence or potential danger. You cannot see whether a wire is charged, nor can you determine how strong that charge might be just by looking. Capacitors, for instance, look the same whether they are charged or discharged. The only way to find out if a capacitor holds a charge is to test it, which can be a dangerous task that might result in serious injury. The invisibility of electricity makes it particularly insidious. It's a silent and unseen force that is unpredictable and therefore extremely hazardous. The lesson is clear. Respect the power of both water and electricity. Recognize the potential threats they pose and never underestimate these forces. Water may seem benign and electricity invisible, but both can alter your life in an instant. Story 13. The hazards of HVAC and plumbing. Working in HVAC and plumbing design has shown me the serious risks associated with neglecting proper practices. Consider bird droppings, which might seem merely unsightly, but can actually pose health risks. For example, birds nesting near an air intake once contaminated a building's ventilation system, leading to serious infections. Improperly installed hot water systems can also become breeding grounds for Legionella bacteria, which poses severe health risks. Although incidents are rare, they are preventable with adherence to proper plumbing codes. Radiators, too, present dangers, particularly to the elderly or disabled who might fall against them. While regulations require protective shielding in hospitals and care homes, many older buildings remain unupdated, posing continued risks. Radiator leaks can be especially dangerous in steam systems, where a broken pipe can unleash scalding steam. A recent incident in Russia highlighted the risks, even though most heating systems there are water-based. Another concern is backflow pollution, which can occur if a hose is left in an outdoor pool, turning it into a stagnant breeding ground for bacteria. Strict regulations are in place to prevent backflow incidents, which can introduce bacteria into the drinking supply. Gas safety is another critical area that demands professional handling. Even minor gaps in boiler flues can pose significant risks. While adhering to these regulations might seem burdensome, they are designed to safeguard public health and safety. Story 14. The hidden dangers of black ice. Black ice is among the most hazardous conditions drivers can face, and understanding its dangers is crucial before venturing out in icy weather. If you're inexperienced with driving in snowy or icy conditions, the best advice is straightforward: don't drive. It's safer to stay put than to risk causing an accident. Remember to reduce your speed significantly in areas that have experienced freezing rain or snow. Having grown up in the West, where snowy conditions are common, I've seen how underprepared drivers can be, especially now that I live in the South, where many drivers underestimate the peril of black ice. Black ice is not merely a nuisance, it poses real danger. A friend of mine learned this the hard way when her car hit a patch of black ice on the freeway. Her vehicle skidded out of control and spun off the road. Miraculously, she sustained only minor injuries and was able to walk away from the accident, a fortunate outcome. Many drivers mistakenly believe that if there is no visible snow or ice, it is safe to drive at regular speeds. This is a dangerous misconception. Black ice is almost invisible, particularly on dark asphalt, and is often only noticeable when it's too late to react effectively. If you find yourself driving in potential black ice conditions, remain calm. Panic can lead to impulsive decisions that worsen the situation. Instead of slamming on the brakes or accelerating, gently steer in the direction you wish to go. Sudden braking or sharp turns can cause further loss of vehicle control. Always prioritize safety. It's better to arrive late than never. Exercise extra caution during winter weather, as your life and the lives of others may depend on it. Story 15. The challenges of dealing with substance dependency. Dealing with loved ones who are substance dependent can be incredibly challenging. This isn't just an observation. It's a harsh reality I've come to recognize through personal experience. At 46 years old, I have seen the profound impact of substance dependency and understand more than ever why I choose to steer clear of substances myself. Throughout my life, I've watched several people I deeply cared about fall into the clutches of substance dependency. These weren't strangers. They were loved ones I trusted with my heart and soul. Of the many substance users I've known and loved, only one has successfully broken free from the cycle of addiction without ending up deceased or incarcerated. The statistics are grim and speak volumes about the consequences of such habits, which ripple out to affect everyone connected to the individual. The choices made by these individuals have led me into unimaginable situations. I've been hurt repeatedly by those I once cherished deeply. There were at least 17 instances where I came perilously close to disaster because of the destructive habits of people I loved. My ex-wife, with whom I shared a decade of my life and a child, became one of the most threatening figures in my existence. After years of love and trust, she turned against me, becoming unrecognizable as the addiction took hold. She attempted to take away my daughter, my home, and even tried to turn my own mother against me through lies. The situation escalated to the point where she managed to have me wrongfully imprisoned for 3 months by framing me for crimes I didn't commit. It was a relentless nightmare, but thankfully, the truth eventually came to light. Her deceitful emails and texts were exposed, leading to my release. Tragically, my ex-wife passed away 2 years ago due to intoxication. While her death was a profound loss, it also brought a sense of relief from the turmoil. I have since reclaimed my relationship with my daughter and my mother, untangling the web of lies that once ensnared us. Reflecting on my relationship with my ex-wife, I realized the depth of my love for her. She was my everything, and for 8 years, I would have done anything to protect her. However, the substances transformed her into someone I could barely recognize, leaving scars that will last a lifetime. This experience has taught me a painful but undeniable lesson. The lure of addiction can fundamentally change a person, turning them against those who care for them the most. It's a harsh reality, one that I hope others recognize before finding themselves in a similarly perilous situation. Story 16. Uncertain dangers. Bleach, or perhaps something else. I'm honestly not sure what the exact substance was. Google identifies it as bleach, but what does that really mean? Is it the same chemical used in swimming pools, or is it the pungent odor you encounter in a freshly cleaned public restroom? Who can say? In Israel, it goes by a rather deceptive, almost innocent-sounding name, Economica. It sounds more like a children's toy brand than a potent cleaning agent. The commercials here paint a picture of a cheerful mother effortlessly spritzing her way through the house, her grin wide as if she's unlocked the secret to perpetual joy. She dances around her immaculately clean home, exuding a sense of domestic bliss. The entire scene is overly cheerful, inviting, and frankly, quite unreal, because let's face it, no one cleans that energetically without a bit of madness. Now let me share my own little adventure with this so-called Economica. It began with a bathroom fungus that seemed almost sentient. This wasn't just some mildew in the corner, it was a full-blown invader, a mini ecosystem that had entrenched itself stubbornly in my bathroom. This fungus was like an unwelcome house guest, who not only overstayed their welcome, but also insisted on redecorating my space in the worst ways imaginable. Initially, I tried ignoring it, hoping it would simply disappear. Yet every time I entered the bathroom, it was there, almost challenging me. It became clear that I needed to take decisive action before this fungus started issuing passports and declared independence. So I turned to the all-knowing oracle of WikiHow, because naturally, when confronting a sentient bathroom fungus, you consult the same site that teaches you to tie a bow tie and fold a fitted sheet. WikiHow's sage advice? Bathe the fungus in bleach. Simple, right? Just apply the chemical and watch the problem wither away. However, I wasn't exactly sure what constituted bleach in the context of Economica. Perplexed, I used Google Translate, and that's when I realized Economica was the product in question. It was a revelation. The world of Israeli cleaning products suddenly made sense, and I felt an odd sense of empowerment. Emboldened, I decided to experiment. I mixed a cup of Economica with 2 cups of water, thinking this diluted solution might be the key to my fungal dilemma. It seemed like a reasonable approach, right? The battle against my bathroom fungus continued, but not with the results I'd hoped for. Initially, I tried a diluted mix of Economica, thinking it would be strong enough to discourage the growth without being too harsh. However, this approach was utterly ineffective. The fungus seemed to thrive, almost as if it were mocking me, challenging me to escalate my efforts. Determined to win, I decided to increase the concentration. Half Economica, half water, still no effect. My frustration grew. I was tired of being the lenient opponent. It was time to get serious. In a moment of desperation, I opted for full strength. 100% bleach, no dilution. I poured it directly onto the fungus, and the pungent smell of chlorine hit me like a physical blow. This smell, usually reminiscent of summer fun, now marked my intense chemical assault on the fungus. Drenching the fungus with pure Economica brought a mix of satisfaction and dread. Satisfaction because I felt confident in its potency, and dread because I realized I might be out of my depth. But it worked. The fungus was completely eradicated, a clear victory. However, I hadn't thought to ventilate the area. Initially, the chlorine smell seemed to dissipate quickly, so I assumed all was well. Settling down for some relaxation time on Reddit, I started to feel lightheaded. I attributed it to my medication at first, but the sensation intensified alarmingly. Suddenly, my body urgently signaled that I needed to rush to the bathroom. I tried to stand, but my legs buckled, and the room seemed to spin. Crawling desperately, I managed to reach the door. Thank goodness it was ajar. I stumbled outside, gasping for fresh air, overwhelmed by the realization of how close I'd come to serious harm. As I sat recovering, the absurdity of the situation struck me. Who knew a cleaning spree could turn into such a perilous ordeal? It was a stark reminder of the power and danger hidden in everyday substances. It's nothing short of a miracle that I'm here to share this story. Let this be a lesson. Never underestimate the power of bleach or any cleaning product. The next time a charming commercial tries to sell you on a blissful cleaning experience, remember, reality might be far more chaotic. Now, whenever I see those Economica commercials, I can't help but speculate about the true chaos behind those pristine, sparkling scenes. Is the mom in the advert a little too cheerful? Perhaps she, like me, is battling to keep her home free from a mutant fungus, risking her life in the process. We may never truly know, but one thing is certain, I'll never look at Economica the same way again. Story 17. The underestimated danger of weapon noise. Many people overlook the real threat posed by the noise generated by firearms. For both the user and bystanders, the sound of a gunshot can cause significant harm to hearing. Depending on the firearm and the environment in which it is used, permanent hearing damage is a real risk, a concern often ignored due to Hollywood's dramatizations and video game culture's influence. Contrary to popular belief, while suppressors make firearms quieter than their unsuppressed counterparts, they do not render them silent. Suppressors reduce the noise level sufficiently to lower the risk of immediate hearing damage, even without protective gear. This is a crucial point, as many assume suppressors transform loud weapons into something barely audible. Unfortunately, misconceptions about suppressors have led to restrictive laws governing their ownership. Many fear that easier access to suppressors could lead to increased use in criminal activities, arguing that quieter weapons would be more dangerous, as bystanders might not detect where shots are coming from. However, this argument is flawed. Suppressed weapons are not silent, and their location can still be discerned by sound, particularly at close range. Furthermore, while suppressors can be costly and challenging to obtain legally, they are not impossible to acquire. A determined individual could construct a homemade suppressor with relative ease if motivated by malicious intent, despite legal barriers. In reality, the strict regulations primarily disadvantage law-abiding citizens who seek to protect their hearing while engaging in shooting sports or practice at the range. The reality is that responsible gun owners prioritize safety, not just for themselves, but also for those around them. They understand the true implications of weapon discharge. Instead of perpetuating myths that only serve to create unnecessary fear and stigma, our focus should be on promoting responsible ownership and the importance of hearing protection. In conclusion, it's crucial to shift the narrative away from Hollywood portrayals and common misunderstandings that obscure the public's understanding. By advocating for reasonable regulations, we can allow responsible individuals to protect their hearing while upholding their right to bear arms. The goal is to find a balance between ensuring safety and encouraging responsible ownership, rather than succumbing to a world dominated by fear and misinformation. Story 18. The hidden dangers of ceiling fans. A ceiling fan is often seen as a blessing, especially on a sweltering day, but I discovered they can also pose unexpected dangers. Earlier this year, while on vacation, I experienced a painful mishap with a ceiling fan that resulted in a serious injury to my left hand. The incident unfolded rapidly. I was relaxing on a couch under a ceiling fan when someone posed a question to me. As I stood up to engage in conversation, I stretched my arms upward. That's when I felt a sharp pain at the back of my left wrist. A surreal moment where time seemed to slow down as I processed the shock. I soon found myself rushing to the ER. Initially, the doctor examined my tendons and assured me it was just a minor injury. However, the next day, I noticed something alarming. My thumb wouldn't extend fully. It remained in a hooked position, refusing to straighten. Although I could still touch my thumb to my fingers, something felt decidedly off. I was advised to wait a week before getting my sutures removed, so I held off on expressing my concerns until the follow-up appointment. When the doctor saw me again, he noticed my limited thumb mobility and referred me to a specialist. After further evaluation and tests, the specialist identified 2 potential issues and recommended surgery. Despite my anxiety, I felt relieved to have a clear direction for addressing the injury. The day of the surgery was a blur. To address the injury, the surgeons needed to reroute a tendon from my index finger, utilizing what they referred to as a spare tendon, something I had never heard of before. It was surprising to learn that our bodies come equipped with such backup systems. Post-surgery, I was thrust into a challenging recovery phase. For 6 weeks, I had to perform hourly exercises to regain full control and functionality of my thumb. Each exercise session was a blend of determination and frustration, as I strove to restore the range of motion and strength that I had always taken for granted. Reflecting on the entire experience, it's astonishing how quickly life can change. What began as a simple gesture to engage in conversation led to a cascade of medical appointments and a surgery that profoundly affected my perspective on everyday safety. It's given me a newfound respect for the seemingly benign objects around us, like ceiling fans. So the next time you find yourself relaxing under a ceiling fan, remember to keep your arms and hands at a safe distance. An innocuous action can sometimes lead to unexpected challenges. And if you found these stories enlightening or if they've sparked your interest, stick around. There's more content coming that you're sure to enjoy. I'll catch you in the next video.